What's going on, collectors? Optical 20 for another video review. This time it's Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Hot Toys Anakin Skywalker, and you can purchase this figure at bigbadtoystore.com. Just click the link on the description, and we're gonna start off with a box, kind of like a standard Hot Toys box right there. Kind of reminds you of the older, I wouldn't say older, it's not that old, you know, like the previous prequel that Hot Toys released. It does have that kind of V-tapered pattern. I mentioned several times whenever I'm reviewing Star Wars product that I'm not really a diehard fan when it comes to Star Wars, but with Anakin, I gotta have him. I do have the Darth Vader one from the episode 4, I believe. Is that New Hope? I do have that, and the narrative of the transition between Anakin going to Darth Vader, you can do so much with those. So I decided to jump on on this figure. Plus the figure looks pretty good. It does have a lot of accessories, as you can see here, and I think it's a nice build, and it comes with a good assortment of hands. As you can see here, there's some gloved hands. His right hand has, this is what episode 3, where he does have the mechanical hand, and that hand mostly has a glove on it, just to kind of show that he does. They don't want to show the skin because he doesn't technically have that hand, and some force hands and all that stuff. You can also see he got 2 lightsabers. One is the one he got from Count Dooku. This one is a nice looking lightsaber. It's kind of crooked. It does not light up. Even if you try to have that red saber, that red laser, whatever you want to call that, and insert it to the hands that does light up, it just doesn't come out right because the light is blue and you got a red one here, so it kind of creates like a purplish hue. Not that great, honestly, but it does. You can see the hilt. It comes with a nice hook that you can hook from his belt if you want to, and then he comes with a standard lightsaber, which is nicely detailed. You can see that chrome paint, and then you insert this little tab right here. It comes with 2 of them. Just read the accessories. It's not really the most clear accessories, if I'm not gonna lie to you. This one just allows you to kind of put this in his belt, area, so he can store it. But other than that, there's another tab which is kind of like a weird looking one. I'm not really quite sure, if I'm gonna be honest with you, what it is for. But yeah, so I'm on my display piece. I am mostly gonna have him use the light up saber, the light up arm. If you are not familiar, if this is your first time buying a Hot Toy Star Wars, not all of them, most of them, I would say. I know Rey doesn't have one. You can see there's 2 arms, 2 right arms here. One of them is the light up version, the one holding a lightsaber, and the other one is just the mechanical arm, specifically for Anakin Skywalker. And we all know what happened there, so I'm not gonna go into details, but as far as the look, the paint application, it's really nice. It kind of reminds me of Metal Gear, one of my favorite games of all time. And you can see some wires, nicely painted, and the details on his hand is phenomenal. I don't have much use for this hand, honestly. It's a nice throw-in. It's a good piece of, I wouldn't call it gimmick, because it is there. You can see there's a rotation in his forearm. You can bend the elbows, but I guess depending on the scene that you want to recreate. For me, personally, it doesn't make or break the figure for me. I'm glad that it's there. I am, because it just adds accuracy to the figure, and also more accessories. The more accessory it is, the better. And as you can see here, this is the light up arm, so you turn that on, you can see that blue LED light shining in there. It looks like a flashlight. The only, I would say, complaint I have here is that they haven't really figured out a way to make the lightsaber just light up. And I've seen customizers have done that. The problem with this, I typically don't have any problems, but once you have, if you use this arm and you have the robe, the cloak that he does have, I mean, and then you cover it up with his gauntlet, it's almost impossible to reach the switch. So I had the robe, so I didn't have to put the gauntlet. I mean, it's your option. I would suggest don't if you are using this light up feature. But yeah, that's kind of difficult. It's impossible to turn him off and on with that gauntlet. As far as the stand, you know, kind of typical Star Wars stand. However, the design of the base is sticker, which on the previous ones it's already there. This one you got to do it yourself, so you got to be careful. Mine was straight, you know, when I was putting it, but I can imagine if you kind of mess up or so really take your time with this one. And this is the gauntlet that I was talking about, and it's also kind of button, so it's not magnetized or anything, so you really gotta take your time and be careful and make sure you're not breaking anything, because you know this is Hot Toys, and you certainly do not their quality control have issues to begin with. But as far as details, you can see on his belt there's a whole lot of details in here, really nicely done. This and hit the back, his outfit itself is great, you know, it's accurate to the film. His boots, there's 2 parts in there, and the head sculpt. One more thing, I really do love the head sculpt. I think it resembles, I forgot the actor's name, Christian something Haydenson. He did an awful job on acting the part, one of the most important part in the history of film. But you know, he didn't do a good justice. But the storyline is there. I would just say, you know, a lot of people are giving the prequel a lot of heat, and that is before The Last Jedi. Now a lot of people are hating on The Last Jedi. You know, it's okay with me, I would say, for both films, although I would agree to some criticism on, I'm just gonna purely comment on his acting. I'm not even gonna go through Jar Jar Binks and all that stuff, but he could have, you know, they could have cast a little bit better, I guess. But you know, now we got this figure, and I think it's a really good likeness of him. You can kind of see, I wish they would have included a second head sculpt, like a more angry one, with the eyes, you know, the where he's turning Sith, you know, that would have been really cool. But that could be a special edition from SDCC or something like that. You know, Hot Toys is already milking this line, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is something we would see down the line. Just showing you different options here as far as lighting. You know, if you put him dark, you can kind of create this evilness in Anakin. So that's one thing that I really do like about this figure, is the telling of the story. You know, regardless of whatever you think of the prequels or the movie itself or the actor, it is there. It is a part of the Star Wars, storyline. So sometimes you just gotta embrace it and have fun with it. And I can just see multiple pictures and angles where he's turning to Vader. You can, when you're taking a photograph, make one half of his face Vader, and that's what kind of motivated me in purchasing this figure. Including the fact that they are going to release Obi-Wan, so you can create that battle scene as well. So some really cool poses that you can pull off with a Star Wars figure down the line, because articulation wise, because of his outfit is just, there's nothing rubberized or nothing to be scared about. I mean, maybe his pleather might flake. It's a fairly new figure, so you won't hear any any complaints yet. But other than that, I mean, he's pretty safe to pose around. As you can see here, I got him posing while kind of like blocking a lightsaber attack. So yeah, there's several display options or stories that, like I said, you can tell with this figure. And as far as money wise, it's 234. I believe it retails for 234, so it's not bad, not bad for the price at all. I've seen worse, but this guy, even though he only has one head sculpt, I think it's still a pretty good. He does have that light up accessory, so I always call that gimmicks. It kind of adds up to the value of the figure every time that you do have one, even though as simple as a light up lightsaber, because Yoda doesn't have one, the new Yoda. So this is kind of like the pose where he got Count Dooku cornered and he chopped his head off. I mean, if you haven't seen Revenge of the Sith, that's not a spoiler. That happened, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, it's time. There's also Count Dooku coming out perhaps next year. It was announced alongside Yoda. So, slowly, if you are a huge Star Wars fan, you're probably feeling it on your wallet right now. Because one thing I noticed as well is if you go to Big Bad, typically they're Marvel, and unless it's a big Iron Man, they normally don't collect NRD. But I noticed on Star Wars figure, typically they take 10% or so. And I don't know why. I guess if you also look at their current promotions, it's mostly Star Wars figure. Mostly, you get Finn and a bunch of stormtroopers. Maybe they produced these figures. Who knows? But I'm enjoying every single bit of it because I'm not buying every single one. And by the way, his cloak has wires, so you can position especially his hoodie in there. So just a quick size comparison here with the bad guys. So him, obviously Vader is gonna be a little bit taller, and you got Kylo Ren on the other side, which is somewhat around the same height of Anakin, and they are all standing in the respective bases, as you can see here, but they all match up as far as height is concerned, so that shouldn't be a factor. But yeah, Vader, it's pretty accurate. And here you go, guys. Thank you for watching. This is, hopefully this helps you convince to buy Anakin. I highly recommend him. Not, as a figure, he's not gonna jump out of your collection. There's nothing new that you haven't seen before. To me, it's just the versatility of the figure and the stories that it tells. That's what brought me in. But if you do hate the prequels, don't buy it. Well, once again, thank you for watching. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. It really motivates me a lot. Click the links down below. Follow me on Instagram and add me on Facebook. And I'll see you in the next review.